TeneT, Stroka, Bessie Fits, TeneT, Erushi, Pedashanum, how we ran up, and nag and a nag and a nag, or nelt mash, or nelt on the surf, that you must like the film, but the woman.
What's so now? Så choke me.
Hey,
I got scaps sushi.
so I don't know, man. Life for the snacks or man on it. She Ruth McCall. No, we well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reshoot, an amateur's guide to good or film. Now I'm one of the hosts, Hector.
Usual
Carlo.
suspects again.
Yeah.
I am another host? ? Ruthie Carlo.
I am a questionable host. Don't want to go so there. Yeah.
So Hector, what movie did we do this week?
The movie that made me feel like I was jumping head a giant blender again and again and again when I rewatched it and when I tried to reshoot it, TeneT. Or if you say it backwards, TeneT.
You know I'm going to be doing that backwards and forwards, right?
It's just funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want to know something?
What?
When he's in the van, what does he do for exercise?
Goes up and down and does push-ups.
Push-ups?
He does push-ups.
He does pull-ups. What's pull-ups backwards?
A pull?
Pull-up. What's pull-up backward?
God damn it.
What?
Pull-up is pull-up. It's a pull-up.
Oh! Amazing.
I know, right? And he's doing... When they're going back to the thing, he's also doing pull-ups on the...
That's one of those good Nolan shit that wasn't... I didn't feel like... That's one of the few... That's like one of the good Nolan shit. I love when he does these movies,
and,
but...
there was another... Fuck. There was another thing that he did or he talked about that... Oh. The inverse machine? What did they call it?
The turnstile?
The turnstile. You know what they should have called it?
What?
Rotator.
Oh, yeah.
Man, you're on a roll with these.
Yep.
Or a lore. I don't know. I'm trying to go... Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that is not my stuff. My friend noticed this shit.
Okay.
And it's really, really interesting. And he should have done that. Nolan's slacking on this deep shit.
Okay, I guess since we did that new rule that Ed suggested, which I really like, which is the person who, well, I don't like it this time, but the person who watched it, who
requested
said the movie should be, who said what the movie
picker is movie summarizer.
Yeah, thank you.
Synopsis.
All right, so this is an edit. We have tried to do this a few different ways. We tried to do it during the episode, the synopsis during the episode. I tried to do it as a read-through, but it was 22 minutes of an explanation. So, as much as we hate to say it, you might have to find a plot synopsis. I recommend Wikipedia. We're not trying to be lazy. It's just so long, and it's a really dense episode as it is.
I would recommend the Foundflix TeneT explained video on YouTube. He does a really good job of doing it. It is also 20 minutes long.
Thank you, and thanks for understanding, y'all. Ruthie has a face.
I just realized. He said at the beginning of the movie when he's getting in the hospital bed, he says somebody must have talked.
Yeah?
But it's against Satyr. Nobody talked. It was the pincer.
Maybe. I'm not sure about that. Maybe you're right, but I'm not sure.
Wait, hold up. Say that again?
There are 2 times when the protagonist guy says somebody must have talked. Who talked? At the beginning of the movie in the hospital bed, he was like, somebody must have talked. And then later on, when Satyr said that, or when in the scene in Belgium, after Kat gets shot, he says, someone must have talked. Did you talk?
But it was a reverse pincer movement.
Yeah, it was the time pincer. So it seems to be implied that Satyr or Satyr's men knew what was going to happen. It must have been a reverse pincer.
There's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much.
It's super bloated.
This is 2 movies worth of info in just the first half. I don't see
I
why
mean,
he
yeah,
didn't want to
like
do a duology or
that's the
trilogy.
thing. Like, it's a 2.5 hour movie, and it's Nolan, so everything is pretty important to the story. So yeah,
Except for the Michael Caine scene, which could have just been done with Priya.
Priya.
But that's
I know,
getting more
but
into a
Michael
reshoot.
Caine, Michael Caine.
He's overrated. I said it.
I know, but Michael Caine's in like a lot of Nolan movies.
Also, I noticed they were saying like, "Thank you, Sir Michael," and Michael Caine isn't actually a sir. So I'm wondering if this is like his last Nolan film. Maybe he's about to retire from acting. I don't know. It
no,
felt that
I
thank you.
think just the character is the character that Michael Caine played is Sir.
No, but Michael Caine in real life, I'm pretty sure, is a sir.
Oh, he
Has been
is?
knighted. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I'm gonna look it up now. This is my research for the episode.
Sir Michael Caine, yeah.
Yep.
Yep, he was knighted. So again, I think he was. So again, there's my research for the episode because I couldn't do any research on this because the
Are you
science is.
also researching my notes there?
I didn't see your notes. It's just you had to open on the tab.
Likely story.
So, I'm wondering if this is a goodbye to Michael Caine. I'm not going to say if it is or isn't, but it feels like this might be the last Nolan film.
Perhaps.
And if it is, I will take back what I said. If not, him being there was just a cameo that didn't need to be said. It felt kind of useless.
It's a cameo.
Although it does lead to a funny running joke where every time there's a restaurant or a place of eating, he never eats there. The main character never eats there.
Again, after my theory with that is he did get his teeth replaced.
He asked for the food every time.
He asked
for the food.
He asked for the food to be normal, but still, like getting teeth stuff done, you don't want to eat.
I mean, you don't know how long he's in the coma.
We don't know the time length of anything in this movie.
Which is the problem.
Yeah, and they never get the locations. Like, I know, what is it, CinemaSins? He always makes fun of, like, the fact that they give locations in movies. But, like, the only place we for sure know that they go is, like, Oslo,
Belgium.
India, Belgium, and England. But
Vietnam.
they go to Vietnam, they go to it. There's the bit where they go to Italy, and I was like, wait, is this Italy? And yes, they went to Italy. I can't remember the name of the town. There's also the opera house in Ukraine. Like, there's so much. There's like no time and like distance is not a thing, and it should be.
The whole movie takes place in 2 weeks.
Yes.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God,
the whole movie is 2
weeks.
weeks.
It's too much. Okay. So who's starting off?
It should be you.
Like, the first half of the movie is them going through the 2 weeks and the inverse all the way back to the boat in Vietnam, which is 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yep.
First. You. Unless you're tired of talking.
I don't want. We can mix it around, I guess, but I don't want. I don't know if people are gonna get tired of my voice, and mine's might be long, might be short. I don't know for sure.
Mine might be long too.
Okay, so
I can go.
Well, you said you wanted to see if you could see it for me or something. So.
I mean, I can go. I don't have a lot.
Okay.
Go first, please.
Okay. What I liked about this movie. So the opening sequence was amazing. Good hook to get you in, and also it shows you the inverse bullet right away, so you're like, oh, this is cool. The orange tag thing, very good. They did zoom in on it so you remember it, but they never mention it throughout the.
I
never
actually forgot about it until my second viewing, but it was.
They never
really cool.
mention it. Is the thing. They only show it, which is
good.
Nolan, good.
Please do more. Maybe not with this movie, but do more.
Yeah. And then I love the entropy concept of the movie. I love the reversed entropy thing. Maybe there is some scientific thing to back this up. That's like a there's no science. No. Entropy is always
entropy is only one way.
Yeah. So it's cool. I like it. It's kind of bullshit, but bend your disbelief for this movie for sure. like the scientist lady says, don't try to understand it.
But then it makes you try to understand it. That's the problem. Pick
The
one,
only-
Nolan.
It's
Felt fucking lazy.
the best way to describe it is, I think she described it also, it's just whatever is the entropy reversed, it's just experiencing time backwards kind of thing. Everything
Yeah,
is
so like if he
reversed.
went to catch the bullet, he went to throw the bullet down, but in the
in the bullet's point of view, he dropped the
was-
bullet.
yeah, so it goes back up. So like
it goes back
that
up, yeah.
that part made enough sense, but it gets a little confusing with a thing I'm going to mention later.
Yeah.
And that's not like a research, it's just a question I have.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm stupid.
And then
but
another really cool thing I liked is that it's got a bit of like an Ocean's 8, or no, not that one, Ocean's 11
Yeah?
kind of vibe. Not 8, 11. Ocean's 11, it's got that kind of vibe where they do the planning phase before they do the thing. They do the action phase, like
I know,
especially for the
I love
Oslo
I
art
love
gallery
that.
thing.
That was rad.
The movie peaked at Oslo.
Yeah, they they
Both
do
times.
that whole planning phase. They do that whole planning phase. They get Neil to go in and like get all this information, and then they do the actual part that they planned, and it
The airplane
goes
crash was real.
more or less according to plan. But no, because it's a movie. Same thing with when was this? Well, they do the planning for the Oslo the next time they're at Oslo also. Yeah. And then they do the planning for the last part of the movie, which these people are not a fan of.
Ed, when we were watching it a second time, I noticed Neil in the first heist. You could see Neil in a yellow jacket, and it was future Neil. I think it was supposed to be.
But he never wore a yellow jacket in that scene.
I know, that's the weird thing.
Maybe it was just a lookalike.
It wasn't a lookalike. It was definitely Robert Pattinson.
Maybe it was a deleted thing they got rid of.
That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, there's this moment where it's what's the guy's name?
Which one? Protagonist?
No, the guy who's like, it's fine, I'll just be a terrorist. I'll get extradited.
Oh yeah.
The getaway guy.
The getaway guy. I wrote his name. I said I wish I didn't. Not my other notes, but my notes are my movie watching notes. I wish he was in the movie more. He was a really fun. He seemed to have more personality than some of the other characters.
It would have been before that, because Oslo was before Seder. But anyways, yeah. So he was on the screen, and like
Mahir,
yeah.
Mahir. I think it was Mahir. Mahir.
Okay.
Mahir.
But yeah, he's like on the screen, him and like a couple other guys in his crew, and then off to the far left, like half on the screen, half off the screen, is Robert Pattinson, and he just looks like that's what it looked like from the outside.
I did not see that. I guess I'll have to watch it again and look for that. But yeah, I loved Neil as a character. I might be a little biased because Robert Pattinson is a very handsome boy and a very good actor, and he's in one of my favorite movies ever. But
Twilight.
What?
Twilight. It's your favorite movie.
Yeah. Twilight, yeah. I mean, it's no. It's the Lighthouse.
Why are you Lighthouse?
Why Lighthouse? Neil is a great character, I think. Good actor, Robert Pattinson, handsome boy. What else? And this is the thing. This is the thing that my friend said to me that perfectly describes the movie also. TeneT is not Christopher Nolan's best, but it is also not his worst. It is Christopher Nolan at his most. This is the most Christopher Nolan you can get. And yes, the sound mixing is terrible.
Yeah.
They're whispering while they're on a boat. Please, talk louder. His
the
worst?
heist planning scene with the jet engines.
Yeah. What?
Wait,
Quick question. What's his worst film?
his worst?
Yeah, in your opinion.
Either Begins or Rises.
Really? I didn't like Rises. I didn't like Rises as much the more I thought about it. I feel like Rises.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Either Begins or Rises are his worst. One of those two.
Yeah,
In
no,
my
I've only
opinion.
seen 2 Nolan films. I thought this was my first one, but apparently he directed Inception, and I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now I have to actually look at his filmography again and see. But I remember looking at this previously, and all of his movies are pretty good.
Are we gonna go into the?
Hold up, give me a second.
Okay.
He has this movie called Following an Insomnia that I've never seen, but apart from that, yeah, either Begins or Rises. In my opinion.
Have you seen Dunkirk?
I've seen Dunkirk.
Huh?
I've seen Dunkirk. It's not his worst, not at all.
Okay, I haven't seen it. I've just never heard
But
anyone talk about it.
that's a really good segue into what I don't like. Dunkirk had pretty much no characters. The protagonist, uh, what's the actor's name?
John David Washington.
John David Washington is not a character. He's called the protagonist in the credits, and I think that's a huge mistake
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because there's no feeling for him. I have no emotional connection to him. I only had an emotional connection to Neil, and
And Cat.
Kat.
I
And
didn't feel
Seder.
much for Kat, to be honest. That whole part of her character arc, I don't know.
Really?
When she's
I don't
dying
know
of
how to explain it.
radiation,
Not that part. I didn't like.
or the
Okay, she
end.
cares for her son. She's trapped in a bad marriage. I get it, but I was hoping for. I don't know. I guess I've just seen Nolan. I guess it's. I don't know. Nolan doesn't write the best females. I've noticed at times, so I'm not too.
You have no experience, or I can tell that you don't have a lot of experience on what it is like to be in a toxic, bad relationship and how hard it can be to get out.
That's not
I
the.
don't have that
That's not.
personal experience, but I know people who are in that, and I can understand Cat more, and I can
I get
sympathize with him.
that part's fine. It's not that. It's the fact that like. I don't. It's not just Cat. It's the same thing with the main character. It's the same thing with a lot of the characters. They're very. They're just. It feels more like they're part of the set. They don't feel as much like alive. They feel two dimensional.
Yeah, it's
That's
kind of
my
like
I felt for Cat. Like, okay, let me rephrase this. I felt for Cat. I didn't feel. I felt bad for Cat, but I didn't feel an emotional connection to Cat. And I've been through some pretty like bad friendships that have been toxic and have been on my like, and some bad like some other relationships in the past that have hurt me.
It kind of seems
I guess
like
I can agree with you in that part. That yeah, I felt for Kat, but not that much of a. It's not as much as an emotional connection as I had with Neil or Seder even.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Nolan's characters, at least in this movie. I'm not saying like his entire
In
filmography.
Dunkirk.
I'm not saying Dunkirk. I'm just saying this movie. It seems like he's using the characters more as a means to an end to tell the story or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing with Dunkirk, that it worked in Dunkirk for me at least, because the movie wasn't about the characters, it was about the event.
Yeah.
And that's why it worked to not have fully fleshed out characters. You needed this in this movie because it's all about the characters. And he worked really he did really good with Seder, which is the main point of why all this is happening. It's just that the protagonist needed to be a character also, because all he is just like some merc that gets recruited by the CIA or TeneT, or he gets recruited by
his future self.
Yeah, he gets recruited by himself.
Yeah, well, he was CIA and then he gets merc. Then he becomes the merc.
Yeah.
Yeah, recruited by himself, and like why is he doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is he involved in this? Why does he even care? Like, it's just biggest mistake in the movie was
In the beginning, he said he wanted to retire, but then he was like, "No, you're dead." And I thought that was gonna go somewhere. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. It's just
yeah,
I'm agreeing with you. Like, it feels
yeah,
wasted.
huge mistake in my opinion. So yeah, while I was watching this movie, I was more invested in Neil. A lot more invested in Neil than the protagonist. The protagonist, now that I think about it, maybe this is what Nolan wanted, is that he wanted us to be the protagonist. But it doesn't work like that. Not in movies, at least.
Mm-mm.
That's for video game stuff. Anyways,
Mhm.
yeah. And then, what else? What else did I not like? Sound mixing, but everybody knows that. Watch
Yeah.
Interstellar if you want to understand more of that, or watch this movie and just the boat scene, the very first boat scene. Just pay attention to, like, or just watch the movie without subtitles, and then you'll understand what this is.
Or you
Nolan,
won't understand
you
the
won't
entire
understand,
movie.
but you'll understand what I mean by terrible
I almost
sound
got a spit
mixing.
take.
Terrible sound mixing and sound editing. It's so bad. Yeah. Nolan, hire someone, please.
He's
Stop
had
doing it
other
yourself.
He's had other directors tell him, like, say, "Hey, I don't like the
Yeah,
sound
and then
mixing." He's like, "They don't
he
get it."
himself, Nolan himself says, like, I don't understand the problem. Like,
Do you think you guys
I
think
think
he has a
I
hearing
think
problem?
I
Do you
think
think he has a
Nolan,
hearing problem?
Oh my god.
perhaps, but I think Nolan is only defended himself. This fuck the word adamantly this time, because he thinks that a lot of people are watching it at home, and that is true. And he says it sounds better in a theater. Maybe, although debatable, because Interstellar.
I know a guy who went to watch in a theater, and I think he also told me about the sound mixing. I know he's going to
Yeah,
listen to this episode, so I'm sure he'll text me back. But yeah,
yeah, but the ambient sound and the music is way too loud when people are talking. Turn it down a little
It's
bit,
always
Nolan. Turn the voice up a little. Just a
yeah.
little. Like, it's not. It's it's not as bad as people are saying it is, where you can't understand what they're saying. You can, if you really just, like, really try your hardest to, like,
Well, there's the one bit with the
understand the
heist in
dialogue.
Oslo where Neil's talking to the guy, and I, honest to goodness, both times I tried to listen to it, I couldn't hear, but the
Wait,
subtitles
Neil
were
is talking to who?
the
The guy who's
attendant
giving him the
guy.
tour?
Yeah.
oh yeah, that
Because there's
part.
the jet engines overhead over that, like, that's what you're hearing, and they're blaring, and it's really loud, so you can't have it turned up like up to 50, because you know
Hmm. I don't
you
remember
can't
that
hear
being
like
a
the
problem,
like
but maybe. But I watched it with
security
subtitles, so I don't
details.
know.
Yeah.
I also watched it with subtitles.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're gonna, yeah, sound mixing. Woof. Um, what else? Oh, actually, uh, before I get to the last thing, uh,
Mhm.
I really, really, really liked this. This has the time travel that I like, which is how Neil says it. What's happened happens. As in, you can't change shit. 12 Monkeys. Because when they go to Oslo, and in the synopsis, when they fight this guy in a suit with a gas mask and everything, that is actually uh, Washington inversed, or just getting out of inverse. He goes there to uninverse.
I haven't seen the movie. I was
Yeah,
gonna watch it. Did
and
you just spoil the movie?
it's really cool because
Ed,
stop.
no, I'm being serious. Did you spoil the movie?
What?
I haven't seen the movie. 12
What
Monkeys. Did you
movie?
spoil them?
Oh,
12 Monkeys.
12
Oh, I thought
monkeys?
you were talking about TeneT.
Oh
No,
no,
12
no, 12
Monkeys.
monkeys.
Did you just spoil it?
I've said this before to you, dude.
Okay. Okay.
It doesn't spoil the event that the movie is.
Okay, don't spoil
But
anything
it's
else. Okay.
yeah. Like it's so cool. Like in the beginning, the Oslo scene happens pretty early in the beginning, and then you fight this guy that's in the black suit, and then it turns out that it was Washington uninversing himself once he got to that point in time because he had to go back there later in the movie. Like this is Act 3 where he goes back there,
Mm-hmm.
and when they start inversing themselves is Act 2. That's when he inverses himself to the car chase scene, which was phenomenal, by the way. Amazing, great, woof. Also, Nolan, you spent a lot of money to crash a plane, and I don't remember. Like that scene wasn't that great. It wasn't as memorable as flipping a semi, but you do you, man.
I still think the scene that has it beat, if we're talking about like, I know a small side tangent, but the scene Terminator 2 with the helicopter going under the bridge, the bridge or highway or whatever, is real.
Mm.
That
Oh.
wasn't like that wasn't a technic. That
Someone was
wasn't
gonna
CGI.
die. Someone could have died.
I think they made sure it was safer. They got like one of the best helicopter pilots around. But yeah,
Cocaine.
I haven't seen Terminator 2.
Okay. Whatever.
so
That doesn't spoil the plot.
You guys are talking about a lot of movies I haven't seen. I haven't seen
Yeah,
Interstellar.
like
I haven't
12
seen any of the
Monkeys
Terminator
and-
series.
And Dunkirk.
Dunkirk,
okay,
12 Monkeys.
what you fixed?
Oh yeah. Okay. So what would I fix? How would I reshoot this movie? All right. So first of all, this movie is 2.5 hours long. So there's not a lot to add. And there isn't really a lot to cut either. So making what's John David Washington, right? Is his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making John David Washington's character, the protagonist, a real character with a name is gonna be hard. Because you need the explanation of how the turnstile works, the the inverse machine, which should have been called rotator, because rotator backwards is rotator. TeneT is TeneT. And then he does pull-ups in the thing. And what is pull-up backward? Pull-up.
Pull up.
Nolan, you missed it. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to make John David Washington a character. It's going to be hard. The only way I can see it is there's a lot of times where people ask him his name or what he's doing there and shit. And the best way to do it is to actually answer the fucking question. And actually he needs to have a motivation to actually want to get involved in this stuff because it wasn't like Hector said, he was retiring, was he not? And then he's dead, in quotation marks. And yeah, I didn't feel anything for him at all. And it felt so bad at the end of the movie, that whole scene, because it's Washington doing all of this, the protagonist doing all of this, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, like, save the world, whatever. Like, why? It didn't do anything for me. And yeah, it's the biggest problem, and that's the only thing, honestly, I would change, other than the sound mixing, because that's obvious.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like a gimme. It's almost like it doesn't count. Seems like, 'cause that's what everyone complains about Nolan about.
Yeah. Another thing I would change is like Neil needed to I don't know, like, his what's happened happens, or what's happened, whatever, however he says it. Like, he says it twice in the movie. And I think that's enough for us to get it, but I think, I don't know, like, the whole thing where nothing changes, where this has already happened, it's a time loop, pretty much. Time loops like this don't make sense sometimes, especially when it's like this, like, because if it's, I don't know, like, Neil is in on it the entire time. He knows what's happening. He knows this already happened, and I don't know, just fuck this. It's hard. This movie's hard.
It is.
Also, like, it makes it feel worthless knowing that everything's gonna be fine in the end. This is one of the weird cases where, like, the movie felt almost worthless. Maybe it's just because the length or the fact that there's characters. But when I was rewatching it, I was just like, we already know it's gonna work. There's already signs in the beginning because they mentioned the explosion that happened at the end of the movie in the very beginning. So what's the point? Like, what's the point? We already know it's gonna, because the explosion happened. They're still there. That's when it should have been happening. So we know it's gonna happen. What happened
but
happened.
I
So it
think
almost feels, and I
Nolan-
guess because length
Yeah,
and like cares, like, what do I care? I
Nolan
don't.
relies on the convoluted part of it for you to not understand that this already happened and it's all okay,
hmm
and it works for the first time you watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think.
I think that's a huge issue with Nolan movies.
Yeah,
They're
it's
not
a
rewatchable.
spectacle.
And they don't have any rewatch value.
The Prestige, though, that's like my favorite Nolan film.
Yes, you get more off of it on the second watch, but after that, it's not. You already get it all.
I like the characters, though. That's what got me to come back. That's what made me come back. Is I
To
actually
Prestige?
really dig the characters in the Prestige.
Yeah, I believe The Prestige is probably Nolan's best film.
Another movie I haven't seen.
We're watching it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. It's classic. But yeah, like, I don't know. I will go again. That's what I would change is just make the character and it's a better movie. And again, the whole entropy concept is cool. I love all of that. Make the turnstile a rotator, call it that. And yeah, Nolan again. Yeah, it isn't. All of his movies are quite a spectacle, and the inverse car chase scene, spectacle. Inverse fight scene, spectacle. The inverse war at the end is actually a spectacle as well. I loved the timing when they're shooting the rocket at the building is fucking insane. I love it.
That part was
So
cool.
cool. I don't understand what was going on really. Like, why? Like, I know they shot the rockets at a certain time to make one part of the team experience the top part blowing up, and then the other part of the team experience the bottom part blowing up as the top part puts itself back, or like the bottom part puts itself back. I don't remember, but that was fucking cool. It was awesome. The point of the war scene. Since when did Sitter have a private military?
Yeah, that was my issue with it.
Yeah.
I was going to get, like, I know he plays with governments and pits them against each other.
I know.
But like a private military seems a bit much. I'd prefer like a small elite squad.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I don't know. And since when did the people that the protagonist and Neil are working for get like 7 turnstiles?
Oh, TeneT, the organization. Yeah.
The organization has them. Okay.
Couldn't they just make it in modern day?
What?
No, they don't have the
materials
they don't have the
day.
tech. They don't have the tech, and it wasn't invented yet. So
Yeah.
what they did
Well, no,
is
but they have the material. They just need the information.
Oh.
That part actually made sense.
Okay, yeah. Then I think that's what they did. I think they explained that way, that the future people sent, like, use the rotate turnstile to send information back to Seder at his town, and that's where he found it. And Seder wasn't. I don't think he was the person to actually was supposed to find it, but he did find it just right.
No, it had his name on it. It literally had his name on it.
Oh, it
Okay.
did?
Yeah, when he finds the thing, it has his name on it with gold to help establish his company.
Mm.
I caught that on the first.
I
got
guess
the
that's why he has the private military money, gold.
yes, yes, but
Yeah, but like again, the war scene was kind of it should have been like Elite Squad and and the little orange tag at the end shows up and you know who that character is, you know what happens to him, and it sucks, but it happens. I don't want to spoil that. Overall, Nolan at his most good to watch. A little confusing. Like the scientist said, don't try to understand it.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of a spectacle movie. Like Endgame, I felt like Endgame was a big spectacle movie.
yeah,
And
both time travel.
yeah, but I think do you think a lot of it had to do with like the production release too? Because Nolan was like, no, this is going to be the movie to save movie theaters. Do you think that might have had a
Yes.
It was supposed to come out before COVID and then got delayed though.
True. Okay.
Yes.
It got delayed because of COVID, I mean. So
Yep. Yeah. It's a spectacle movie. It should have been in theaters. I mean, it was, but that's what
We should have seen it in theaters, but then we
should
wouldn't
have
have the
seen it in
subtitles.
theaters. But you can't ask for closed captions.
yeah,
Fun
but
fact.
okay.
Yeah, but that's the movie for me. I liked it. It's not terrible.
Okay. First thing on my mind of liked things, I did like, and I'm gonna call protagonist Guy. You'll see why. But I liked that Guy and Kat never had a romantic relationship. It was never they had feelings for each other, at least in a romantic sense. It's just kind of like we've been intertangled, and I know that sounds like a sex thing. It's not a sex thing. It's a shenanigans thing.
Shenanigans,
I
you
forgot.
say?
Yeah, we mentioned that in Rain of Fire, and in this one there isn't a romance.
Yeah, there was not a romance. Still didn't pass the Bechdel test though.
What's the
Did
Bechdel
not.
test?
You never heard of the Bechdel test?
No.
Okay, so it was named after a lesbian comic writer who noticed in comics. Well, she wrote it. She wrote the Bechdel test within a comic, and it's named after her because she made it. It's basically you need two female characters with names who talk to each other with no men present in a scene, and their conversation cannot be about a man.
Look up the
Yep,
Rick
does
and
not
Morty
pass the Bechdel test.
Yeah, it barely has two named female characters at all. But yeah,
Pure and Cat.
Priya and Kat, that's the only named women.
Rick and Morty has the perfect Bechdel test, in my opinion.
Yes.
With Summer and Beth, or what?
Yes.
Yes, the one. Yes, the Story Train episode. Have you seen that one? It's in the new season.
Oh yeah. The train. What about?
Yeah, the story. Remember when it's like they're about to die, and he's like, "Morty, I need you to give me a Bechdel test quickly." And it's Morty. It's like, use your special. It's that time of the month. And oh no,
and the lady and they're
Morty,
scorpions, but they're lady scorpions.
Rick says Bechdel test.
Yes,
Oh.
it's a really meta episode to shit on the annoying fans.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, things I liked. I liked the original concept of the movie, and I'm not saying that to be coy or anything. I like movies that are original and trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was definitely trying something new, and I had a good time. It is a spectacle, but I really liked the movie. And not to be spilling tea or anything, but Hector did like the movie with me the first viewing.
No, I still like parts of the movie.
But it sounds like you've been talking shit for the entire 45 minutes we've been going.
That's fair. My issue is kind of more that
the more you think about it, the more you dislike it.
No, I guess I expected more from Nolan. I guess I expected more from Nolan because I thought, okay, Dunkirk doesn't have characters. It's a war movie trying to document a historic event. But okay, Interstellar still had a lot of heart. Inception had a good amount of heart. Prestige had a lot of heart. Dark Knight had a surprising amount of heart for the movie it was trying to be. And Dark Knight Rises did, but I consider that one just more like, okay, that was just some circumstances that he had to change because Joker couldn't come back because Heath Ledger died. I get that. That's fine. But I thought, you know,
Yeah.
he has really good movies. I'm actually kind of a fan of his stuff. Let's see, but I don't know, like it just
It didn't scratch the itch.
it didn't, and I guess it's just because I like his stuff for the most part. I have some stuff I disagree with him with some of his casting choices in other movies, but uh, Bane and Dark Knight Rises. At me on Twitter if you want. On Twitter if you want to.
I liked the diverse cast. That was fun. I've heard he's very whitewashy.
Well, not whitewashy.
Well, not whitewashy, but he has a very white dominant cast.
The only time he whitewashed was Bane
Okay.
in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. It sounds like I don't like the movie when I have such a short like list. I honestly did like the movie. I was kind of like, oh, another one. I like it. It had very strong Bond vibes without like having the one-to-one Bond format. Like, technically, I've never really seen a Bond movie, but I've seen Austin Powers and I've seen Johnny English and all the like stereotype spy movies. But this one felt like actual spy shit, and that was pretty fun. All right. Dislikes, not counting the sound editing because that's cheap. I feel like Ed said a lot of mine. I disliked the bloating of the movie. It felt very overinflated. It felt like me after a buffet. A sushi buffet, just like engorged.
Yeah.
I disliked the I think were we talking, was it recorded when I was complaining about like the locations thing? That kind of just irked me.
I think a little, yeah.
Okay, cool. If not, it's gone forever, but TLDR, I disliked that we never had a time or place explicitly stated. Like Ed said, it was like 14 days, but that's all I'll say about that. My main solution for fixing the bloating of the movie, and that was my goal, primarily my reshoot, was to take one movie and split it into 3 different movies. So the first movie is TeneT. The second movie is Radar, and the third one is Sagas.
I'm really proud of her for this. She like
they're all palindromes.
They're all palindromes.
Hold up, wait. TeneT.
So TeneT, Radar, Sagas.
That's really good.
Thank you.
Like it's really
Thank you. I will take my award now.
You won the podcast this episode.
I do.
And the Academy Award for Best Original Title goes to
like an Animal Crossing. Anyways, so let me see. Like I said earlier, I'm going to differentiate the main character. I'm not going to call him protagonist. I'm going to call him Guy, because what I want to do is have a little bit more of that spy stuff, that really fun, good, ooey gooey, what the fuck is going on? So let's see. TeneT is going to be our Cold War Bond-esque film. We're going to follow Guy, our protagonist, as he maneuvers his way through this international intelligence community. I'm trying to make it a little bit more rooted in reality, this first one at least. And he's trying to find TeneT and understand what it means. So the opera scene goes pretty much as normal. What really changes is when the handler is talking to Guy. So the handler says that it's Guy's actions and implies that like bullet thing discovery in the opera mission leads the protagonist to notice him. And Guy, John David Washington, is like, the protagonist, what a stupid fucking name. And the handler's like, I don't know, man. I don't even have clearance to know this guy's name. Everyone just calls him the protagonist. Yeah, it's pretentious as fuck. So pretty much the conversation goes as same as before. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll give you this hand thing where you put your fingers all together. Look at the church, look at the steeple style. And then, like, all that happens, and he says, oh, also, you're going to want this. So after the TeneT and the hand thing, the handler hands him a phone, tells him that when he needs it, a friend will answer, and Guy again says, that sounds stupid as shit. What the fuck do you mean? And the handler says, like, I don't know, the protagonist specifically made me say it. Like, it comes with a note or whatever. So he goes to the lab and he finds out about the inverse entropy, whatever. He asks scientist, lady finds out where it's coming from. She nods. We see a lot more time pass, like she's struggling with it. Eventually, yeah, basically what I'm trying to do is extend out this like Sanjay thing. And the main reason I'm trying to make it have real world consequences, like I said. So I don't, as much as I like the bungee jumping in and just kind of like get in, get out before people can notice or whatever. For the purposes of turning it into a trilogy, that does make it problematic for me. So I don't know, make it a little bit more politically, like lean a little bit more into the Bond stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, I dig it.
Like a little bit more schmoozing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, with the meeting with Neil, don't have the CIA handler do it. Have Neil answer it. Guy asks, "Are you the protagonist? Are you the guy with the really stupid name?" And Neil just chuckles and he says, "You'll know when you're speaking to the protagonist." Keep the scene with Guy and Priya, where she's like giving him the information, but I feel like it should be a little bit what.
We skipped.
Oh wait. I thought I did.
No, about Sanjay being protected by the...
Oh, yeah. Well, I was kind of saying, like, not doing the reverse bungee thing, having a little bit more schmoozing and, like...
Oh, okay, I understand now.
He's being protected by the Indian government, the Singhs are being protected by the Indian government, so he can't just, like, go in and do whatever the fuck he wants, because he's CIA, he doesn't want to have CIA knowingly infiltrate the Indian government. Political crisis. I'm still having to like rethink the rules, etc.
Yeah.
Guy and Priya. I feel like she's so much more of a business woman, but she's always giving him information for free. And it's because he's eventually the protagonist, but I don't know. I feel like she's the kind of person who would kind of take advantage of that, and she'd like kind of want him to learn on the job. So I don't know, maybe take him under your wing. She could feed him like breadcrumbs, or like he can investigate the protagonist and TeneT as a whole, but she's kind of feeding him breadcrumbs and being esoteric.
He doesn't know she's part of TeneT, right?
She does this at the beginning.
Okay. No, but in your version.
What?
In your version.
No, in my version, she's explicitly a part of TeneT.
No, well, I mean, she is in the movie too, but like, does he know that she's a part of TeneT by the time they first meet?
Yes.
Okay.
So while he's working with Priya doing who knows what am I supposed to do? Write the movie? Neil is in England and he is trying to get in contact with British intelligence Michael Caine. Yes, he is important in my version. Or at least he's trying to. There's like this red tape thing, like every time he gets like a meeting scheduled or he like sneaks up on his lunch, something happens and he can't get a hold of Michael Caine. But what he can do is when the plot calls for it, again, what am I, a script writer? He gets Guy to go to England to this fancy art party that Michael Caine is going to. So Guy goes to the art gallery. He bumps into who we will later know as Kate. She is one of the main hosts of the event, along with her husband. I don't know. I feel like she should be a little bit more in her element. Mm-hmm. Eventually, Michael Caine goes to meet with Guy, but before he can say anything beyond Sater's name, I should have mentioned that. Sater's name, Priya does not say anything about Sater, not for the most part. It's always like, there's this guy in England. It's very esoteric. Again, like not giving the information that's needed.
Okay.
Michael Caine starts to kind of give him the information that he wants until a bullet leaps out of his back.
Oh.
And a window seals up behind him. Awkward. As Guy is investigating Michael Caine's death, we end with a smash cut of Kat, the woman from earlier, the host, who we don't know much about her, smashing the raspberries.
Yeah, the glass. Extra's angry.
Yeah. So Radar, the second one, the Bond, the heist movie, all the fun stuff. Probably my favorite of my trilogy. There's The sequel begins with the bowl smashing, but in reverse, just for funsies. Kat is narrating the events like she does to Guy before. What? Yeah. So Kat is narrating these events as she does to Guy later on in the movie. But before we see the husband's face, cut that and go to the scene with her greeting her son at school. Movie should otherwise play out as it did for the most part. Guy gets to Kat, convinces her to help him. She's reluctant. He promises to destroy the painting. Yada yada. Sound editing, heist planning, check. The tiger monologue. Disliked the tiger monologue. And I'll tell you why. His motive throughout the trilogy or the movie in the original one is, if I can't have insert thing here, no one can. So for him, a speech shouldn't be like, I'm the tiger, don't fuck with the tiger. It's, he's not the tiger, she's the plucked goose. You have no power here. I have the power. It's me. If I wasn't here, like, if you try to fuck with me, oh, like last time, you'd be in jail. You could lose everything. You'd never see Max again.
Where does this...
Like I said, this part pretty much plays...
Yes, but where exactly does it end?
Oh, it ends with Guy with the first inversion thing. With Guy getting his lungs frozen out with the fire.
Oh, okay. So it plays the same way. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's basically the same thing. It's just like the cat stuff. I'm trying to give things more room to breathe.
No, I agree. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. The messiest one of mine. Sagas. It's the final, and yeah, here we go. So we keep Oslo, we keep the algorithm stuff, the works, whatever. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this one. I will say the ending war scene doesn't really make sense because it lacks the gravity it would have had if we'd seen this TeneT organization as a whole lose these pieces of the algorithm to Sator. Like, there's 9 pieces, but they've lost every single one up to this point, seems like, right? Yeah. So it doesn't get that kind of like New Hope, we destroyed the Death Star vibes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just needs to be changed. I'm not as sure how. I feel like smaller teams on both ends. And oh yeah, I forgot to say this in my dislikes because I feel like the TeneT like organization almost feels like a Deus Ex because it just seems like for the second half of the film, it's just like there's TeneT guys, there's so many of them, just throw some bodies on the problem. But he doesn't seem like the kind of person who likes loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems like, why are you involving at least 2 battalions in your secret Save the World organization, you know?
Yeah. Well, isn't technically in the final battle?
Yeah.
Isn't technically 1 battalion, just the other one's inverted?
I don't know, it seemed like there was 2.
Well, there was the red team and the blue team.
Yeah.
Blue team's inverted red team.
Yeah, I considered them like 2.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know like the official, like what makes a battalion.
No, it is technically 2 teams. It's just, it's the weird middle point where I kind of see it as 1 team because it's the same people and one of them's only reporting. But again, it's not you.
Yeah, like, but if there's these 2 teams or even the 1 team, there's got to be other people who are doing other things, especially because, like, I don't know. There's got to be a TeneT secretary somewhere. Sorry, I've been rambling. That's pretty much it.
No, it's fine. So
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It gives everything room to breathe.
It makes the protagonist a character in the first movie. Yeah, I didn't consider, like, the movie's long, but I never considered splitting it into 3 movies. Or it could work as 2 also.
I think the last 2 would be better just being 1 movie.
Yeah, I did consider that too, but I was worried about, again, that would it still feel bloated? And I'm a sucker for a trilogy.
No, I get it too.
Good things come in 3s. You know?
Good things also come in 2s. Just very, very far apart.
How many hosts are there on the podcast, though?
Oh, but how many Blade Runner movies are there?
There's 4 Avenger movies.
There's 2 Blade Runner movies.
It's more like that was just me trying to throw a wrench and be funny. But yeah, there's 2 Blade Runners. Although I've met so many people who hate Blade Runner 2049, so
because they never because you know why? You know why they picked 2049? Because they didn't watch Blade Runner the first one, either the correct version or they didn't watch it like 3 or 4 times.
But if there's like a correct version of a movie, I feel like
you can only really
versions.
I know you can pretty much only find the final cut now, which is the version you need to watch. But yeah, okay. 2049's we're not reviewing that movie. I'll stop.
That's fine. Okay, so TeneT, what I liked. The acting's really good.
Yes.
John David Washington and Robert Pattinson really bring those characters to life. I thought, I can't remember her name, the lady who played Kat.
What character for Washington?
Well, look,
there's some good one-liners.
There's some good one. Like, come on, like, I'm waiting out for my damn hot sauce. It's such a funny line. Like, it was the best line in the film. And
I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago.
Elizabeth
Debicki. She did a really good job. I thought she acted her part well. And Kenneth Branagh especially played Sator well. I just wish he was given more of a personality other than I'm the big bad evil guy.
I thought that the like health obsession thing was kind of fun,
but then it made sense.
But then it was plot related.
It was plot relevant.
Took away from that.
I also didn't like how that little twist was barely hinted.
Yeah.
Like with the watch, like it felt like it just like they didn't show him being sick too.
Yeah.
It just showed him being because he was drinking all the damn time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no wonder you got like it's like should you really be drinking if you have stage 4 cancer? I don't know. I'm not saying yes. Ed.
I agree wholeheartedly with that obsession over the health stuff because that reminded me of a movie I watched recently called Bad Education, where Hugh Jackman really cares about how he looks, and it's not plot relevant at all. It's just a thing that makes him a character. He just has an obsession that isn't plot relevant, which is, I like those kinds of things. It adds more to the character, even if it's not anything special.
Can I just offer a stupid idea, just as a quick reprieve, and then we'll get right back into your thing?
No, go for it.
Sator is Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec. Nothing? Have you guys seen Parks and Rec?
I don't know who Chris Traeger.
I have never seen Parks and Rec.
I got it. It's like there's so many characters it took me a minute.
So Chris Traeger, that character as Sator, just like blend the two a little bit more. Maybe not the perkiness.
I don't know the perkiness.
The perkiness, though, it does have the comedy.
But it's not a Nolan thing.
I know.
It's not. I get what you're saying. I agree. It's fun, but it's not a Nolan thing. I think it works better for Marvel, which is something I kind of mentioned. I give a little rant to Ruthie about.
Sator is a Marvel character?
No, the movie is like it's like an attempt at a Marvel movie.
I'll explain my thought process in a sec. Again, I don't try to give people the impression that I hate this movie. I honestly do like the movie. Again, I don't know.
Ooh, preview. What did you rate that? What are you gonna grade this movie as?
I know it's gonna sound lame to do this for the last 2 movies, but C plus B minus.
I thought you said you liked it.
Huh?
But I thought you said you liked it.
Not like the stuff that I really don't like irked me more than it probably should have, but it irked me nonetheless, like more. So C plus B minus is gonna be mine. Anyway,
pick one.
B minus.
Okay.
So I like the fact that Neil knows more than he lets on. Is foreshadowed pretty well. When he's like, "Oh, I have a theory." Like when he was like, "Oh, I have a degree in theoretical physics." I'm like, of course you fucking do. It's for the movie. And then I realized, oh shit, that actually makes. In the end, when it's real that he knew the guy, I'm like, oh, that actually makes more sense, and probably is how he got discovered. Cool. So like that part, I think that part was the best written part of the movie that I wouldn't want to change as much.
Neil,
yeah.
Yeah.
The fanciness in the movie was kind of fun to look at because I what I assume is a different world, and I don't know if rich people actually do act all the way like that. Like not including the like merc stuff, but like the fancy boats, the nice suits, the fancy
eating
meals,
people to death and with gold bars.
Yeah,
that's the life.
That's the life. But yeah, like I don't see much. I haven't seen that part of life. I'm wondering if it's actually like that. It was a nice little glimpse. But it's also a caveat where, instead of showing all this fancy stuff, you could have spent more of that time and energy or money on the plot, or just letting characters breathe more. I guess trying to emulate spy movies, but I thought Priya being the arms dealer was kind of cool. I know we've all said that, but like, just
Priya
once
was cool.
she was cool. I actually really dug her. It was a fun surprise. The Cold War sneakiness again was really fun. I get that the big battle was meant to be more of a distraction than anything, but it was still like too big and too grand. It kind of conflicted with the earlier stuff of the Cold War sneakiness spies. Okay, so normally for this section, I call it dislikes. I put dislikes or confusions because there's still some parts that don't fully make sense, and I'm probably gonna look into it, and I'm not gonna say it as a dislike. It's just I would like some clarification.
Okay, I was about to say, can I interrupt you and try and clarify if
Yes,
I can?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Cool.
So I don't like that the main dude is not named, or he doesn't have much of a life. He doesn't have any life outside of a mission. So I'm gonna call him JD because John David Washington. So yeah, he has no other mission or personality or drive other than the mission or helping Kat. So here's the thing. He's waiting on that like windmill thing, waiting for the boat, like waiting for the boat to take him to the TeneT place, to the science lady. I thought, it'd be cool. Like, what I do when I'm stuck in a place and I can't leave, or I'm stuck in a place? I listen to music. Just some small things, even a bit of a personality, some music. Just maybe he's listening to some music on iPod. Maybe hear little bits of music. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe while he works out. Also, he asked to retire in the very beginning when he was back from the dead, in air quotes. And he's like, "You can't go home. You're dead." So maybe he's thinking of people back home right as he hears the news that he can't. And I know I'm going a bit more cliche, but which is better, no personality or losing some cliches? That was my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So, the scene where he first sees Kat and her son? I'm like, he almost looked at him and I was like, does he have a family? Are we going to get a personality? Like some history? Nothing.
I was kind of thinking that too. Like, oh, he's got a kid. Who? It was one of us who asked, like, wait, is that his kid?
That was me.
Okay.
So, yeah. So now I'm wondering, like, so maybe that's a reason for helping Kat is also like, he hears her plight and he's like, I can't see my son or my kid.
Hell, you could even take it a step further and you could even say, like, my ex-wife was super toxic or abusive or whatever, and I'm not allowed to see my kid anymore. And also, I'm dead.
I dig it, but it also feels, I don't know, I feel like
too easy.
There's too many easiness. Yeah, so I think the fact that he might have a kid or a nephew or something, or niece or some family member, a kid who he misses, would be good. Maybe he doesn't have to mention it. You can just look at him, maybe see him looking at a picture in his wallet or something of like the kid, or like a locket or something, and then puts it back, So yeah, like I'm glad he because he cares and he's a good dude, but his only mistake in this movie seems to be that he cares too much about like Kat and people, but it always works out.
Yeah, and it's weird because he like cares for Kat, but he doesn't care for her enough not to like fuck her over a couple times.
Yeah, but he's willing to fuck over the mission to help Kat. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like, okay, mission karma. I saved her. Now what?
Mission failed successfully. So, like, maybe when he gives Kat the gun on the boat, it's like, hey, he's like, I get you want to do whatever it takes to help your son. So here, gives her the gun. Like, I'm not supposed to give you this. Maybe by the end, he plans to screw the rules and retires and wants to retire. Telling Neil that he's tired of all this throughout the movie. But when he realizes he's the mastermind behind TeneT and he realizes, oh, I want to protect this kid from the future, I have to keep going forward with this mission.
Does this also entitle a "I'm too old for this shit" line at the very end?
No, more like I'll be too old for this shit.
I'm gonna be too old for this shit.
Yeah. So another thing is that confused me is the car driving. When he's like, Ed, maybe you can help me with this. when he's inverted, he gets on the car's backwards, right? We see the car going backwards. The car is not inverted. He is. How does that? Wouldn't he still be moving forward? The car still be moving forward since the car isn't inverted, but he is inverted. Ed's really thinking about this. Because like I felt fine the first time, but the second time when I was really digging into the rules a bit.
I think it's not that the car is inverted, but it's his perceptions of everything that's inverted. So for him, it probably feels like he's driving backwards.
But wasn't the car driving backwards in that one scene?
Because he might have been driving backwards so he could drive forwards.
But the car's still moving forwards.
He's inverted. Everything is inverted for him also. When he hits drive and goes forward, the car will go backwards. When he hits reverse and he hits the gas, it'll go forwards for him.
Yes, but the rest of the world, but the car's not inverted, so wouldn't the car be obeying the regular laws of physics? Because the bullet only goes in, but the gun doesn't really move because the bullet was already meant to do that. I get it's like the catching thing, but it just feels weird. It feels like it kind of breaks
It
apart.
feels weird, yes, but the thing is, it's like Ruthie said, it's the perception. It's all just the perception, and
okay,
like when he like it. Yes, it's difficult. I don't fully understand it, but that's what I get it at is that his perception of the world is inverted. So when he's trying to go forward, he goes backward. When he's trying to go backwards, he goes forwards. Right? Kind of thing. And that's why the cars, when you're looking through time normally, the cars are going in reverse. Because that's what they're actually doing. Kind of. And yeah, it'd be really hard to drive a car because turning right, since friction is weird, also reversed, like it wouldn't make sense. I don't know how you learn to drive something like that so quickly, but yeah.
Turn right to go left? Did cars
it's turn right to go left and turn left to go right. Yeah, it's like you're driving backwards. But since he's inverted, it looks like he's going forwards.
Yeah, I get that. It's just more like when we see it through the normal way, he's still like the car. We see that car going backwards.
Yes, because that's what he's doing.
The thing. Yeah, I know. It just confuses.
Yeah.
It's just weird because it feels like it makes more sense with smaller objects than large objects. Maybe I might be wrong on this. It just feels weird, and I couldn't grasp my head around this part. One thing I did hate, Priya and JD's talks about being the protagonist. It's fucking stupid.
I hated that.
And I'm not sure if this movie's trying to be tongue-in-cheek, if it's trying to be meta, or in the case of that one scene of Family Guy I've actually seen, this movie just insists upon itself. It's just, like, oh, just accept it. I don't know. So why doesn't Priya just discuss who the leader is and say like, oh, I got word from the leader not to tell you who the leader is or every detail of the mission as they already know it will come to pass, and maybe make it in a cryptic way where it's like, is he getting messages from the future? Is the leader getting messages from the future also? Like
Sator?
Like Sator? Is this like a sort of Terminator situation where both sides are sending shit to the past?
Jeez, I need to watch Terminator.
Yeah.
It would make so much more sense.
So I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe the leader has already seen, and what the movie kind of hints at, is the leader already knows what's come to pass because he's lived through it and he's sending it from the past, he's from the future. Another idea is, what if Ives, the dude, the Australian dude, was Australian or British?
I think he's British.
The British dude Ives, when he first introduces himself, he introduces himself as the leader. And that way, if Sator catches anyone and he is trying to get info from them, they'll think, oh, it's Ives. He'll think, oh, it's Ives, but it's not Ives. So it's a fake. And it seems, again, it leads more to that Cold War setting where it's like there's false. You don't know what to believe.
Like lying is standard operation.
Yes, which the movie hints at.
Yeah.
So also maybe that's that entire crew in the beginning, in that scene where that whole crew's introducing. Maybe that's everyone. That's everyone.
Yeah.
That's the entire TeneT crew.
I think that would fix it.
That would fix it. So here's another thing that I try to fix. I get how the algorithm works. I'm just going to explain it now. So basically, time goes in one way. When you are inverted, you're fighting against that stream. It's like you're running up a hill that's continuously moving down. But if you had the algorithm, you can make time go backwards, and basically that front half of time and the back half of time from where you are collide, and then everything just explodes.
Think of it like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon where it's like the anvil is falling and Wile E. is there, and then the ground like he just gets sandwiched between the ground and the anvil.
And the ground being moving,
The ground is moving up. Maybe
and that's
from
the
some kind
algorithm.
of,
And
yeah,
that's the algorithm. That's a really fun and interesting way. I like it.
yeah. Better
So
than
Yep.
accordion, I feel like.
yeah, that's when we were gonna.
Wait, Ed, what are you saying?
Oh, nothing explodes. Everything just ceases. Everything just
Well,
ceases to exist.
Well, I'm
The
saying like the ground
I
is
know,
moving up because
I
an
know.
explosion.
No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's criticizing me on that. I know it's not exploding, but I feel like exploding would be the best
Yeah,
way to
yeah.
kind of just.
More
Everything
like
just stops
imploding, but yeah,
existing.
whatever.
Though.
Yeah, yeah. So here's what I thought. Also the fact that it leads to the end of the world like that, just like that,
Oh
feels like
yeah.
it's too simple and grand, and it feels less Nolan. It feels more like a Marvel movie, and I'm not trying to show Marvel movies. I also love Marvel movies, but
Yeah.
they're
And I
there's
hate I hate that about movies. Save the world. Where obviously they are. A movie's not gonna end with the fucking universe to stop existing. Like,
I
come
mean,
on.
Infinity War ended with the snap. If we're talking about Marvel movies, and that was
The
more bleak.
snapping.
That was
Yeah,
more
and
bleak.
at least that was half of all life, not all life.
Yeah, but the bad guy still won.
Yes, but it's a believable, like,
Perspective.
bad guy can win scenario. It's not destroy the
Yeah.
world like Ultron.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. Maybe instead of the algorithm, and I remember this movie is radiation. This inversion is radiation. Radiation should have effects on people, right?
Mm-hmm.
9 times out, I mean, they're wearing leg gloves in the beginning of the movie when they first
Except
show
for
it.
the scientist lady, she grabs the bullet with her non-gloved hand at the one point.
But yeah, the gloves imply that it's bad. It could potentially be bad radiation,
Mhm.
right?
Potentially.
So here's what I'm thinking, right? I'm gonna have to go back a little bit. Pun not intended, or joke not intended. So maybe instead, the algorithm can make one person go through time faster. So like a day, like a minute for going back a minute for him would be like a full day. So it's a way that like maybe it's been a minute for him, but then it's a full day like back around. So that way you don't age at the same time, you're going faster. And you're probably wondering why. You can kind of pull a bit of a Biff from Back to the Future, where he's going back in time to change stuff so he can get more of what he wants, and he can also help the future guys by getting them more of what it can set up more stuff so that the future guys can be more successful.
Okay, yeah, but with the algorithm, would he have the ability to come back? Like, can he reverse the stream like with the original algorithm?
I figured that's a good question, and think about it. I'll just say for simplicity's sake, he can.
Okay. So he can at least enjoy the fruits of his labor?
Yes. Yes. But, actually, sort of, because here's the thing, right? Because the movie talks about multiverse theory. What if he doesn't know about multiverse theory, but he's like, maybe there's a chance, right? So maybe when he jumps back forward, he'll be in the new universe, right?
Yeah.
So here's an idea to make, but by that point, the problem remember how I mentioned I had a problem with the fact that people don't, but by the time the second viewing happens, you don't know if the movie, you already know the movie's success, you already know they succeeded, and there's proof all around.
Yeah.
What happens. What if, to throw people off, about if the changes are happened or not, stuff is different from our world from the very beginning. So, like, let me give you an example. I figured some people may be confused. Let me give you an example. So, with Spider-Verse, when they're in Miles' time universe, there is stuff like there's a bunch of stuff in billboards in the background, like
like Betsy.
Yeah, it's like Betsy, or like the fact that the Yugo was actually successful in that universe. It's a type of car. Stuff like that. So maybe it's like, wait, is this our world and it's just been altered already, or is it a different world and they're just having some fun?
Like leaning into the multiverse thing?
I'm not sort of, but it's more like we want to stop this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, what's another bad thing, right? Maybe because the radiation, maybe there's more danger besides the fact that, because like maybe it's like, well, look, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Maybe people can go back in time to a dangerous degree. There's no way to really fix it. But what's another reason, right? Just in case you need another reason, is maybe that the world, since he's going back, the longer he's in that one spot, the radiation spreads and spreads more and more the further back he goes. So like maybe it's like December 31st. The spot is like the size of a nickel. The radiation is the size of a nickel. But if you go back by
A week?
a week,
Mm-hmm.
the radiation from that spot is like the size of a foot. It's like the size of like maybe a kid's swimming pool, and it'll just keep growing the more back he goes.
Oh, so like Sekiro's Dragon Rot.
Yes, that's a really good one. Yes, Sekiro's Dragon Rot. It'll just keep going farther and farther, so it has an extra element. If you want to keep some of that save the world thing,
Mm-hmm.
it gives it more of a grounded reason of maybe it was intentional, or maybe that's the other reason that the scientists try to prevent this from happening.
Also, spoilers for Sekiro. I'm so sorry.
I mean, it's not as big of a spoiler. It's baked in. No, I get what I mean.
Yeah.
Good on you for doing that, but it's also like baked into the game, the game's mechanics. So another thing I didn't like is the final fight in the desert, right?
It was supposed to be Siberia too, and it was like more deserty.
Yeah. It broke away from the Cold War into an actual war. It was weirdly hard to follow, and even though it was meant to be a distraction, I didn't see many actual enemies or people who will have to fall for it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like 2 confirmed bad guys.
Like the effects are cool, but at what cost?
Yeah. If
Like,
anything, like I had this thought where it's like, couldn't they just do something similar? Just like fuck around at the opera. Couldn't they have shenanigans at the opera
didn't
house?
want to go back to the opera house.
know.
That was so hard for me to follow. I don't like the opera house scene, weirdly enough. So I have a better idea. Maybe, it's the same small team. That's the entire organization. They have to go back to the Freeport in Oslo. And now that it's been more heavily guarded, instead of going back 2 weeks, it's from that point forward. And now the Freeport's more heavily guarded, there's more people. So now both sides have to be more sneaky about doing what they want to do. Sator's men can't just go willy-nilly, like making sure, grabbing a package and being super mysterious, sus. Because then like local cops or local people in an airport, remember the Freeport's in an airport, Security's gonna be extra tight now. They're going to, and people are investigating this for probably days, or weeks. They're going to have to.
Wait, hold on. I'm a little confused.
Okay, just don't make the final fight go back 2 weeks.
Okay.
Don't make the final fight go back 2 weeks. It's from they go back 2 weeks.
Well, they go back.
They go back 2 weeks. They go back 2 weeks. So to what's the place called? Oslo.
Yeah, they go back to Oslo to heal Cat up.
And then they're like, okay, this is the only other turnstile. The other one's too heavily guarded now. We're going to have to go, and that's probably the only 2 places. You still need the turnstile to start the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which does bring up a plot point I just realized of, if the guy's going that far back, how can he just stop if there's no other turnstile? But I figured if it's only a minute, he can just grab materials from different times and then build it. Potentially, I don't know.
Maybe.
Because it doesn't explain how they can build it if they're always going backwards.
That is true, yeah.
So, like, I'm just assuming it's the same rules.
Maybe it's like an IKEA box.
Maybe, yeah. So you have one. It's inverted with you, so it's fine. Oh, maybe he has to have the materials inverted with them.
Yeah.
So he can just do it whenever he wants.
You just you think about taking apart it, and it just builds itself up.
Yes.
It's Jetsons rules.
Yes, exactly. So they're fighting in the future because they can't go that far back, and also they'll make them deal with the consequences. Also, there's weird backwards people now that everyone's seeing, because I'm sure in that fight, if the people could have seen it and videotaped it.
Yeah, again, social media.
Everything's gonna be extra weird. Everything's gonna be super strict. So now both sides have to fight extra sneaky. Cold War. They're all trying to be subtle about it. So
yeah, imagine being backwards and pretending like you're not backwards. It's like trying to pretend you're sober.
Because I didn't like the fact that also that like every place this algorithms or stuff is hidden is in nuclear silos. So maybe he's assembling all the pieces of the algorithm at the Freeport. So maybe Kat is still in Vietnam. Wait, now I'm confused myself. Sorry. So maybe now Kat. I kept the Vietnam thing because I like that re thing, but I'm realizing it's not working. So maybe Kat's just there to scare Sator a little bit, or like talk. I don't know.
Well, are they sending her back in time still, or do you
Maybe
want to keep
it's
her
like
in the present?
That's the thing. Because if they're finding the present, I thought it'd be fun to have like 2 things. Like maybe they're gonna take a risk, and it's like you have to kill Sator, or we have to stop the algorithm. because like they're maybe at this point, like now that it's so close and they finally maybe all together.
Mhm.
I'm spelling this part now, but maybe they all realize at the same time, like, oh, maybe with like 8, maybe the algorithm's dangerous and they're told the algorithm's dangerous, but not what for
Mhm.
or what it does fully.
Okay.
And then they get like maybe 7 or 8 pieces, and they're like, oh shit, it's going to send someone that far back. The radiation could be catastrophic,
Mhm.
or that's going to change stuff, and maybe it's already happened.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why we're not getting all the information, right?
Mhm.
So it's like a weird thing of like maybe we caught something that we weren't expected to. So maybe so I was like, okay, we're gonna take a big risk. Kat, go back to Vietnam, kill Sator. But he had a small private army around, a small private like bodyguards around him at all times, so she has to be sneaky without getting killed herself.
Well, okay, yeah, that does actually answer the question I was about to ask you, which is, if you need him killed, why send the civilian instead of the CIA guy? But the army thing makes sense, and if she still got the gun, which she still had the gun,
She still had the gun.
she can just hide the gun. She can,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
have that play out as
So
normal.
she can go back a few weeks. So the fight is going to be in the Oslo Freeport. You know, use handguns and fists because I just thought that was better choreographed. Like small handguns and fists is fine. And they have to be, and both sides have to be small, sneaky to not alert the authorities.
Mhm.
Maybe they both do it. Maybe Kat kills him. It's a more personal story for Kat at the end. She kills Sator, and that leads to an alternate dimension, a multiverse, because I feel like that's the best way to handle time travel movies without being, if it's not going to be a closed loop.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's in one multiverse. She gets to live her life now of freedom, knowing maybe she can't be with her son because the other cat has her son.
Yeah.
But she will be fine knowing that at least they're both safe. She takes the big sacrifice, kind of like how JD is doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like making that big sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, and maybe at the same time, the main timeline, they stop the algorithm from being discovered fully. Maybe they destroy it because it doesn't. I don't fully understand. I get it's a black box but like I feel like it should also be able to be destroyed.
Well,
it's an object.
Oh, is that why they call it a black box? I was confused why they call it a black box because the point of a black box is to find out why it crashed. Like, yeah, it's indestructible, whatever, but like its purpose is so that it can communicate what went wrong.
Yeah.
So when they called it a black box, I was like, no, it's the opposite. It's not the announcement. It's the explosion.
Yeah. So, but that's my thing. It's just gonna have to be like, it should still be able to be destroyed, just to make sure that at that point it doesn't go forward and that part's safe. From the future onwards, it's safe.
Yeah.
So that way, still keep the kill the past idea because I thought that was fun, but you can also make it a thing about the future, and like maybe we can also teach our generations not to fuck stuff up because now we know what's gonna happen.
Fuck around, find out.
And now that the future's freeing, and that it's maybe not everything's super set in stone, the future can be freed. We have a chance to change everything, and it leads to that more hopeful stuff that Nolan was kind of known for. Of like, they're still good. You can still have hope. And there we go. That's my reshoot.
Nice.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, this movie's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it took Nolan quite a while to write the movie to make sure everything,
like
fit together.
He was very consistent. I'm not gonna. Yeah. I think that's why I like the movie. That's why, as much as I dislike parts, I like how consistent he is.
Yes, the rules were pretty consistent throughout. Surprisingly,
the car thing confuses me still, but I'm just gonna ignore that part.
We're gonna pretend that it works.
We're
not gonna think about it. We're just gonna feel it.
Yeah. So that part's fine.
Don't try to understand it.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. But yeah, this was.
Okay, so you know that joke where it's like, if you watch the Titanic backwards, it's about a magic ship that comes out of the water and breaks up a young, lovely couple.
Yeah.
And like Jaws is the story about a shark that vomits up a bunch of screaming white people. What is TeneT backwards?
TeneT.
Well, no.
It's the same movie.
Is it the same? No,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just a joke. Like it's the same
Tenet,
movie.
like it could be like an anecdote. Like Tenet backwards is a movie about. Wait, what is it?
Yeah. I
It's
honestly
a
think
closed
that
loop. It's the same movie.
yeah. Okay, so I think I have a fun question
Okay.
this time.
All right.
What movie do you think would be a bit more interesting if you could have the Tenet style time travel?
Like if we had to build a movie with Tenet rules.
Just not full. I mean, if you want to, I was just thinking more like what would be the most fun to mess around if you had the Tenet stuff. What would be the most fun to mess around with that kind of weird backwards stuff?
I feel like Inception is cheating, so I'm not gonna say that. A Star Wars Tenet thing might be fun.
There is time travel in Star Wars actually.
Oh yeah, you told me.
So that could, but it's not like
Wait,
that.
what?
But
yeah, but like
there's time travel in Star Wars. There's the world between worlds. It's mentioned in It's shown in Rebels. It was only used once. It's really hard to get to.
But yeah, could you imagine like the temporal pincer movement being used by the Empire? Maybe the stormtroopers would actually hit something.
Old Republic Jedi versus Sith when there was like hundreds of Jedi, hundreds of Sith.
Oh damn.
Temporal.
Oh.
Oh, that'd be a mess.
I can't really think of any. I mean, Primer is a time travel movie, but
that's cheating. It can't be a non-time travel movie.
Yeah, it has to be against genre.
Like your Star Wars one's fun. I didn't mean to commandeer.
Dude.
I just thought, what movie would you want to?
What non-time travel movie?
It's hard.
Or you can build your own. Because I was also thinking like some kind of like
Invisible
Notebook-esque
Man.
movie.
Invisible Man would be really interesting with Tenet time travel.
From what I can tell from the movie, would the Invisible Man have the time travel stuff, or would the not invisible wife have the time travel stuff?
The Invisible Man would have invisibility and time travel.
Okay. Huh.
I have a joking answer because I don't know what I'd actually do with it, but I just want to see the shenanigans.
Okay.
Looney Tunes back in action. Mainly because I just want to see my man Brendan Fraser. But also just I'm curious how Looney Tunes can mess around with.
Hey, what are you doing? You doing the Moonwalker? Yeah, let's do the moon or the moonwalk.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was also thinking like I was trying to find a way where you could do like a romance without it seeming like too creepy.
Time Traveler's Wife?
Well, time travel.
Sorry.
But with Tenet rules specifically.
I was just pulling your leg. What was it? I actually have a more serious answer.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. No. I was thinking about it. I wasn't gonna say it in case I didn't like it, but I can't remember it now. If I could say another one, I'd be curious about The Devil All the Time.
I've not seen The Devil All the Time yet. Please do not say anything about the movie.
I made Hector watch it.
It's really good.
It was really good.
But just
I've not seen it. Kind of stop talking about
it. Devil All the Time. Fine. That's my answer. Might be. Actually, I'm not going to rewrite that movie. I don't want to reshoot that movie.
I don't know if there's anything you could reshoot about it.
So it's such a the type of movie it is. There's not much to reshoot.
Yeah. Also, Ed, kind of like it's a little hypocritical for you to say that because you have in fact spoiled stuff to us while we are recording.
Yeah.
My bad.
Mandalorian. I'm just saying some comeuppance is in order.
I mean, I could also spoil all of Attack on Titan for him right now.
Oh, yeah. One fear.
I can literally say one word to ruin stuff for him. Actually, the next 2 episodes, I can ruin one of the biggest twists, but I'm not going to.
Don't do it.
Next 2 episodes, I don't know.
Anyways.
Please.
Grading.
Mercy.
Anyways, grading.
Grading, okay.
Hector, what's your answer? I'm dying to find out. How will we ever know? I'm so...
B minus.
B minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna say B minus too.
The whole movie was shot. It was really fun.
It was a romp.
It's just one of those.
Well, no, it wasn't really a romp. It was a spectacle.
Yeah.
A lot of Nolan's films are spectacles. The only one that I think was less of a spectacle, but still was like the start of arguably his spectacleness, but still had enough like not too big of a budget for him to run away with, was probably Prestige.
I knew you were gonna say Prestige. I knew it. I knew it.
I really like the Prestige.
I know you like the Prestige, but like,
It's
Is there
Batman and
anything?
Wolverine doing magic.
Is there anything to reshoot in the Prestige?
I mean, we can reshoot the book, but Nolan technically already did it. Oh, it's also based off a book,
oh, cool.
but it's
Oh,
a
the
completely
book's-
different like ending
book.
and stuff. It's really weird.
Book I heard is kind of bad.
In a book is, I'm surprised. Yeah,
Well, compared to the movie, it's kind of bad. But yeah, B minus,
mean-
whatever. And
Yeah.
join us next time for
wait, Ruth didn't give it a rating.
No, I said
yeah, B minus also.
Oh, you did? I missed it.
I don't know. We should
Next
have some
time,
kind of
join us
sound
for-
effect. Annihilation.
Goodbye,
Well,
everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Today's film was TeneT, directed by Christopher Nolan. The writer was also Christopher Nolan, and the cinematographer was Hoyt van Hoytema. Hope I said that right. Sorry, Hoyt, if I did not. Go show some love to their social media accounts or some general good vibes. They made a movie, which is more than we can say here. Thank you for your patience for this episode, everyone. We hope it was worth the wait. And stay tuned for our next episode, Annihilation.